What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be doing some absurd trolley problems, starting with level 1, the original. Oh no, a trolley is heading towards 5 people. You can pull the lever to divert it to the other track, killing 1 person instead. What do you do? Now, just before we get into this, this is the original trolley problem. It's just to get you thinking about morality or something like that. But usually the trolley problem is presented for a neurotypical person. And that just means that the trolley problem is presented in a way that's supposed to be for the average person, like what they should do. So one thing that I like to point out with the trolley problem that a lot of people generally don't think about is there isn't an option to flip the switch halfway, or like when the trolley's halfway going on the switch, so as to derail the trolley entirely, killing a total of 6 people. And possibly whoever's on the trolley themselves. Maybe even yourself, because you're operating the switch. So, the trolley problem is generally presented in a way for someone who's neurotypical. Like, they're generally just trying to be a normal, nice person. They're not trying to go for the highest kill count. Today, I'm going to be going for something a little bit different. Let's see if you can figure it out. So, level 1, the original. Oh no, a trolley is heading towards 5 people. You can pull the lever to divert it to the other track, killing 1 person instead. What do you do? Also, why are the 5 people, like their mouths seem to be crazy huge? And the ropes seem to be tied tighter than the single person's rope. Or they just have like a fatter rope. But the single person just seems like, ho hum, I'm on a track. I sure hope a trolley doesn't come this way. What do? Do nothing. Splat. Wow, actually 23% of people agreed with that? Maybe there's not so many neurotypical people like I thought there was. Maybe there's definitely some people going for like a high kill count. Level 2, 4 people. Oh no, a trolley is heading towards 5 people. You can pull the lever to divert it to the other track, killing 4 people instead. What do? So that's something else that the trolley problem usually never considers is like, I mean, this is just a plain old numbers game. But like, what if it was a different type of person? Like, I think a pretty popular variant of the trolley problem is to say that there's going to be like 5 murderers on one track and like a scientist that's planning to, or like a doctor that's, you know, trying to save lives or something. So would you kill the least amount of people if they were actually going to save more lives than like 5 serial killers on the other track? You know, assuming that you actually had the time to actually talk to the people that are tied to the track and not just going to untie them all anyway, so. It'd be a lot faster to just untie less people. I could pull the lever to divert from 5 people to 4 people, but I'm gonna do nothing. Splat. 34% of people agree with... Really? That's more than before. What? It's just a numbers game. So because it's 4 over 5 instead of 1 over 5, somehow that's a greater number. What? What? Alright, level 3, life savings. Oh no, a trolley is heading towards 5 people. You can pull the lever to divert it to the other track, but then your life savings will be destroyed. What do? Well, joke's on you, I don't have a lot of life savings. Do nothing. 31% of people agree with you. 69 disagree. It really comes down to like a whole bunch of assumptions that you have to make anyway, because like, are those 5 people, you know, your employees? Are they going to work for you and generate more money than your life saving? You know, it's so many random things that you could assume. Level 4, you. Oh no, a trolley is heading towards 5 people. You can pull the lever to divert it to the other track, sacrificing yourself instead. What do? Well, for all I know, I was tied to the track by those 5 people, and they're not actually tied to the track, they just look like they are. So maybe they're really just trying to trick me into committing suicide. I don't know. I don't know any of that. I have to make a lot of assumptions to be in control of this switch here. So I'm gonna do nothing. 60% of people... Wait a second, I think this is the first time a majority of people actually voted for the greatest amount of death just because it was themselves that was involved. So that feeling of self-preservation is like super strong with people, I guess. Again, that makes the assumption that the person that's pulling the lever, like, actually wants to live, doesn't actually want to just end it all, you know? It doesn't have to be, like morally justified. Like, you don't have to do, sacrifice yourself for the greater good or anything like that. Like, you could just be suicidal. So, again, a lot of assumptions are being made. Priceless painting. A trolley is heading towards 5 people. You can pull the lever to divert it to the other track, but then the original copy of the Mona Lisa will be destroyed. What do? Oh, this is the first one that I think that, because, like, it's just a material thing. Like, is it really that valuable? Then again, are the 5 people really that valuable? There's how many billions of people, but there's only how many Mona Lisas? Do nothing. Splat. Alright, level 6. Bribes. Oh no, a trolley is heading towards a rich man. The rich man offers you $500,000 to pull the lever, which would divert the trolley and kill someone else. What do? Also, I like how the rich man, even tied to train tracks, has his top hat on, and also looks much fatter than the other person. I love that mustache. It's not even about the money. The guy's very charming. But I think I'm gonna stick to my guns here and say, do nothing. Splat. Wow, really? 61% of people agree with me. See, now that I'm actually surprised at, because it was, if it was just a numbers game, and then it's just a 1-to-1 ratio, you get something out of one of the options. So this has me a little bit confused. Like, why are 61% of people passing up $500,000? Because I think if you actually switched the positions around, like the rich man was on the other track, and you'd have to pull the lever to actually kill the rich man, then I think the percentage of people would be very different. And I think this just comes down to, like, the philosophical morality of being responsible for somebody's death by pulling the lever versus just doing nothing. You can pretend like you're not responsible for it. Even though I think that's also a very different mindset. Like, again, you have to make a lot of assumptions. Levels of sentience. Oh no, a trolley is heading towards 5 lobsters. You can pull the lever to divert it to the other track, running over a cat instead. What do? Heck no, we're not running over a cat. No way. I mean, those are 5 dinners right there. Why, well, I guess it depends on which country you're in, but... Do nothing. Splat. We got lobster soup. 86% of people agree. Yeah, that's what I thought. Still, though, there's a lot of philosophical discussion to be had about, what's actually the morally right thing to do, because, again, it's not just a numbers game. You could argue it's 5 lives instead of 1, but then why do we like cats more than we like lobsters? When you swat at a mosquito, you definitely don't think twice about it. If you really wanted to, pretend that all life is precious, then just think about the amount of bacteria that you poop out every morning. You don't care. You really don't care. So, when it comes down to it, there's something else. There's more assumptions that have to be made for these kinds of decisions. I think it's amazing that we can see the percentage of people that choose one or the other. Level 8, sleeping. Oh no, a trolley is heading towards 5 people who are sleeping and won't feel pain. You can pull the lever to divert it to the other track, running over somebody who is wide awake instead. What do? I think this is a little strange. Why would there just be 5 people sleeping on a train track? Who knows? You gotta make a lot of assumptions. Maybe they were knocked unconscious and then tied to the track. Maybe they tied themselves to the track and, tucked in goodnight. Maybe they want to be there. I really don't know. You have to make a lot of assumptions for these decisions. I'm just going to do nothing. Splat. 35% of people agree. So that's a surprisingly high number, I think. I think that's surprisingly high. Just because people are sleeping? That's so strange. Personal choices. Oh no, a trolley is heading towards 5 people, who tied themselves to the track. You can pull the lever to divert it to the other track, killing one person who accidentally tripped onto the track instead. What do? And there you can see the 5 people are just smiling yes, death awaits. Can't wait for that sweet trolley death. How do you accidentally trip onto a track and end up tied up to it? But yeah, these trolley problems are great. They definitely get into all of the possibilities, like, you know, like I said earlier, maybe somebody wants to be there. So again, this just comes down to the situation, like, you can't necessarily switch the positions because this changes your personal responsibility. Like, if you just walk up to this situation, 5 people are doing what they want to do, and 1 person's not doing what they want to do. So if you pulled the lever, you would be upsetting 5 people and killing 1 person. But if you did nothing, 5 people would be doing exactly what they want to do. And the same situation would happen for the single person where nothing would happen. Because they tripped onto a track that wasn't going to have a trolley on it anyway, so... do nothing. Splat. 87% of people agree. That's also surprisingly high. But if you could get to know the people that are tied to the track a little bit better, apparently that vastly changes what people decide to do. Oh no, a trolley is heading towards 5 people? The lever just speeds up the trolley, which might make it less painful. What do you do? So the single person on the track is completely irrelevant. We can't do anything about that. Do you really think that you have power over the situation that you walked into? Or is it such a deterministic universe that it doesn't matter what you do, it was going to happen anyway? Do nothing. 32% of people agree with me that it isn't about the end result, it's about the journey. So, so feeling the trolley slowly run you over is a more enriching experience, and ending it all too quickly is, well, it's just too quick, you know? It's just too quick. You gotta feel every little bit of pain on the way out. It just comes down to like a philosophy of how you live your life. You know, you might think like, oh, pain is bad, I don't want to experience pain. Oh, you know, 32% of people would agree that not only does it not matter, like you might just live in a deterministic universe anyway, but that painful experience is actually important to your life. Minor inconvenience. Oh no, a trolley is heading towards 1 guy. You can pull the lever to divert it to the other track, but then your Amazon package will be late. What do you do? Yeah, you walk into a situation where you could save a life, but it comes at the cost of your Amazon package being late. Gee, I don't know. I mean, I don't have to do anything. I really like this, a minor inconvenience. But I think I'm sticking to my philosophy of do nothing. Splat. 12% of people agree. 88 disagree. Yeah, I think that's to be expected. Like, a majority of people overwhelmingly would have their package be late if it meant saving a life. Of course, of course. Best friend. Look at that best friend. A trolley is heading towards your best friend. You can pull the lever to divert it to the other track, killing 5 strangers instead. What do you do? Now this is interesting. They take the numbers game and flip it on its head, where pulling the lever kills more people, saving fewer people, except that you have a personal attachment to that person. Well, joke's on you, absurd trolley problems. I have no friends. Do nothing. 38% of people agree. You might be a little bit sad that your best friend is no longer with you, but would it be worth it to save 5 people? I mean, they're complete strangers and you might never see them again in your life. Or you might have just made 5 new friends. So again, I think it just really comes down to how you see things, how you see the world around you, and the assumptions that you have to make a split-second decision like this. Can't see. Oh no, a trolley is heading towards 5 people. You can pull the lever to divert it to the other track, killing 1 person instead. At least, that's what you think is happening. You forgot your glasses and you can't see that well. What do you do? Okay, so it's the exact same classic trolley problem, the original trolley problem, except that you can't necessarily see what's happening. How does this change things exactly? Because the original trolley problem, like, you still have to make a lot of assumptions about the 5 people and the 1 person, and if it just comes down to a numbers game, then you've already made your decision based on numbers alone. Not the quality of character, like you can't talk to the people or anything like that. I think let's just stick to my guns, do nothing. Splat. 50-50. Holy moly. See, that's actually really surprising. I did not expect that at all. Because it's the exact same original trolley problem. You're just not sure of what's happening. I think that's because of the people that, like, the feeling that people get of being responsible for a decision like this. like choosing to divert the trolley versus doing nothing. Like they just throw their hands up and say, I didn't do anything. I think this is actually really, really interesting, and it really shines a light on the philosophy behind the trolley problem, because like a lot of the examples that we've seen and the hypothetical situations that I've talked about, it comes down to how much you're aware of. Like you can say the 5 people are like serial killers and the single person is a doctor that's going to save lives. Does that all of a sudden change the numbers game? If the 5 serial killers are like promising more death of other people, and the doctor is like promising to save more lives, like again, that's all a conversation that isn't going to happen in a split-second decision. So when it comes down to it, it's about how aware you are of the situation. For you to take on that kind of responsibility, you have to know so many things that you can't possibly know. So this problem, level 13, takes away what you're able to see, what you're able to be certain of. That's really interesting that it ended up being a 50-50 choice. Wow. You take away a person's ability to be certain of what's going on, and all of a sudden they don't like the responsibility. And I think that makes sense. If people are aware of what they're doing, then they probably feel comfortable with the responsibility of a choice like this. Cousins. Oh no, a trolley is heading towards one of your first cousins. You can pull the lever to divert it to the other track, killing 3 of your second cousins instead. What do you do? Well, joke's on you, absurd trolley problems. I don't think I have any cousins, or if I do, I never really met them or care for them, so. Again, this just comes down to a lot of assumptions that you gotta make. Like, you personally might be very close with your family, whereas me personally, I'm not so close with my family. I don't even know how many cousins I have. So for me personally, this question loses meaning, and I guess it just comes down to a numbers game, but I'm sticking to my guns anyway, and I'm gonna do nothing. Blah. 72% of people agree. What is the value of a first cousin or a second cousin? I don't actually know. I don't have that kind of a social context. Is it just a numbers game? Like, are you just saving more lives? Or first, second, or third cousin, does it just not matter? I have no idea. Look at this poor guy on the Switch. He looks so distraught with that, like, potato-shaped head. Age. Oh, see, this is a good one. A trolley is heading towards 5 elderly people. You can pull the lever to divert it to the other track, running over a baby instead. What do you do? Look at those elderly people. Funny looking faces. And the baby just seems completely unaware of what's happening. So this brings the value of the experience back into the equation. Similar to the trolley speed, where you could just end things very quickly or allow the trolley to go very slowly. Because, like, how many years left are there for each of these elderly people? And if you were to add them together, do they amount to the lifetime of the baby? Or what if the baby, like, grows up to be the next Hitler or something like that? Like, you don't know. You don't know a lot about the situation. You don't know a lot about the people or their quality of character. There's a lot of assumptions that you gotta make. Look at those forehead wrinkles, too. We're gonna do nothing. Splat. 76%. Huh. That's kind of crazy. Especially considering what's going on in the US now, too. The baby was already born, so I don't know. Clones. A trolley is barreling towards 5 identical clones of you. You can pull the lever to divert it to the other track, sacrificing yourself instead. What do you do? Again, I think this comes down to a lot of assumptions that you have to make. Each of those clones might not have a full lifetime like the original copy would. And that just comes down to like how much damage was done to the DNA before the cloning process. But again, you can argue that it's a numbers game. Technically more years left to live in a total of 5 clones instead of the original copy. But you can also argue that you could just make more clones. So what is the value of a clone's life? I think these absurd trolley problems are super interesting, because when you're not on the track yourself, it seems a little bit too easy to make a sacrificial decision like that to save more lives. But as we saw in a previous problem, people seem to value their own life a little bit too much. And this time, it's the exact same thing, but with clones of yourself. I think I'm just gonna stick to my guns and do nothing. Splat. 85% of people agree? Holy moly. I'm genuinely surprised by that one. Like, 85%, that's crazy. A trolley is heading towards a mystery box with a 50% chance of containing 2 people. You can pull the lever to divert it to the other track, hitting a mystery box with a 10% chance of 10 people instead. What do you do? A 10% chance, that's not much, right? Like 9 times out of 10, nothing's gonna happen. No one's gonna die. So technically that's a better chance to not kill anyone. But then the 1 time out of 10, it's gonna be 10 people. So the track with 50% chance of it being 2 people, you're literally putting it up to a coin flip. But it's only 2 people. So is it really just down to the numbers game? Or does it come down to how certain that you can be about your decision? Like a 90% chance that nothing's gonna happen? Or a 50% chance that nothing's gonna happen? Well, I'm just gonna be sticking to my guns and do nothing. Splat. 46% of people agree. Alright, that's very, very close to 50-50. So 54% of people that did this would go for the 10% chance. I mean, they're not going for the 10% chance to kill 10 people. They're going for the 90% chance that nothing's gonna happen. That's kind of low. Now that I'm thinking about it, that's kind of low. A trolley is heading towards 5 sentient robots. You can pull the lever to divert it to the other track, killing 1 human instead. What do you do? I think this is another really interesting question. How much do people value life? Can you even prove that a sentient robot is alive? Does it have the same spiritual value? Like, you could argue as well, like the cost that it would take to reproduce 5 sentient robots, or the cost that it would take to reproduce a single human. I mean, if you leave humans alone, generally speaking, they're gonna reproduce like an infection on the planet. But like, you actually have to build a sentient robot. They don't reproduce in the same way, so what is the value, especially to society? Does it really come down to like a moral philosophy? Or is it just the cost to society as a whole? 5 robots would be able to do much better work. Maybe they don't need sleep. And a single human could just be could be lazy. There's so many assumptions that you have to make. So I'm just gonna stick to my guns and do nothing. Splat. 84% of people agree. I think that people that are doing this test really don't value robot lives. I think, robot lives matter. I think, for all you know, the single human could be doing better work than 5 robots. So, like, you have to make so many assumptions just to make these decisions. Here we go. This is a little bit what I was talking about. The economic damage. A trolley is heading towards 3 empty trolleys worth 900,000. You can pull the lever to divert it to the other track, hitting 1 empty trolley worth 300,000 instead. What do you do? So I think this is going to be like a very cut and dry sort of thing. Like, I think I know exactly what people are going to be voting for this. Everybody's just going to divert it to the track with a single empty trolley, right? They're going to take the responsibility. Oh, that's actually an interesting point, though. Legally, you could get sued for those damages. But if you didn't do anything, then things just happened. Oh, do you take the legal responsibility? Oh, I don't know. See, now I feel a little bit more comfortable to just do nothing. Splat. 20% of people agree. I think 80% of people didn't even consider the legal implications of being responsible for $300,000 worth of damage. Even though you saved a total of $600,000, you wouldn't necessarily be able to prove that in a court of law. And the company that owns all of these trolleys or whatever would still sue you for $300,000 of damage. Oh my god. Oh my god, the world that we live in. You can't do a good deed. That's actually crazy, being in the position of the lever. Like, you have the responsibility of choice, or the choice to just do nothing, which I have been doing for every single trolley problem. External costs. A trolley is releasing 100 kilograms of CO2 per year, which will kill 5 people over 30 years. You can pull the lever to divert it to the other track, hitting a brick wall, decommissioning the trolley. What do? Wouldn't the trolley company just put another trolley onto the tracks? Is it going to be, like, more fuel efficient? Is it going to be an electric trolley? Again, you have to make a lot of assumptions here. So I'm just going to stick to doing nothing. Meow. Which, again, like, hitting a brick wall, why would you decommission a trolley on purpose? I think the company would just sue you for damaging their trolley. I wonder how many people actually consider the legal implications of that responsibility. Because, like, you think that you could be doing good, and stepping in to make a choice, you're legally responsible for the outcome that you made happen, which could be a bad thing. You don't actually know. There's so much, like, if only you were like a god and you could see the future and the result of everything that you could affect, then you would know exactly what to do in every situation ever, right? Like, the more awareness that you have, if you're all-seeing and all-knowing, that would be a good thing. You could make the right decisions. Or you could make the wrong decisions on purpose. Again, it really just comes down to a lot of assumptions. Like, you gotta make a lot of assumptions. There's a lot of things that you just don't know. Oh no! You're a reincarnated being who will eventually be reincarnated as every person in this classic trolley problem. What do you do? So, I think this is actually really interesting as well. So basically, this is stacking the numbers game on top of the value that people have for their own lives. So you can take the responsibility of killing yourself in order to spare 5 other versions of yourself of going through the very same experience. Or you could do nothing and go through the experience 5 times while a single version of yourself does not go through it. I think I know exactly which ones people are going to take. I think they're just going to go for the numbers game here and just sacrifice the single version, sparing 5 versions of themselves. But does it really matter? Does it really matter? When you think about it, there's a total of 6 reincarnated versions of yourself, and I guess you're just choosing, it's just a numbers game, so I'm pretty sure I know exactly which people are going to vote, but just for the sake of being consistent, I'm going to do nothing. Blah, splat. 42% of people agree? See, now that's surprising. That's actually really surprising to me. Why 42%? I would have thought those numbers would be very different. Harmless prank? A trolley is heading towards nothing, but you kind of want to prank the trolley driver. What do you do? So you can choose to pull the lever and divert it to some more nothing, or you can just do nothing. We dealt with like some very heavy concepts, like moral philosophy and all kinds of stuff, and this just kind of removes, like, this is completely pointless. And I think that's another thing that people really don't realize in a lot of the decisions that they make in the world. Context matters. So if you remove the context, like you have a choice between nothing and nothing, does it matter? Does it matter if you pull the lever? Like, a lot of people would be a lot more willing to prank the trolley driver if they were more certain that there was, like, no consequence to their actions, right? People would just say, oh, it's just a harmless prank. But again, like, you gotta make a lot of assumptions. Maybe it's not just a harmless prank. So, I'm just, I'm sticking to my guns. Do nothing. Really? 42% of people, 58% would do the harmless prank. See, again, I think the assumption here is that the level title says that the prank is harmless. So you're already giving people the disposition that it's completely harmless, that there's no consequence to it. But, like, what if this mentally affects the trolley driver for the rest of his life? You know, what if there actually is some harm? There's just, no matter what the situation is, you have to make assumptions of the things that you can't see to make it, like, to make an actual responsible decision. A trolley is heading towards a good citizen. You can pull the lever to divert it to the other track, running over somebody who litters instead. What do you do? Yeah, so this touches up a little bit what I said earlier, like, you don't actually know the quality of the character, and when it's just a numbers game, people tend to ignore the quality of the character of the person. But again, I think it just comes down to how aware that you are of the situation and the consequences of your actions. So I think being put into a position of responsibility like this, where you have to make a decision, not knowing a bunch of things about it, like, you just go based on what you know, based on what you can see. But the thing is that there's a lot of situations like that where what you can see initially actually leads to a worse decision, and sometimes it's better to just have good principles instead of going off of what you can see in front of you. It's very strange. It's very strange sometimes. But luckily for me, I'm just gonna stick to the same answer that I've been doing. Do nothing. Blah. Sorry, good citizen. 73% disagree. They would just end the life of the bad citizen over something like littering. I mean, littering can be a problem for a society, but apparently that's enough for people. It's something so minuscule, and there's so many other unknowns. But apparently littering is so bad, 73% of people would specifically choose to end the bad citizen's life. I think that's a little bit crazy. Because the current state of the person is that they're littering. It doesn't mean that they're incapable of learning how to be better. Like, they could turn into a good citizen. You know, this experience might be the thing that turns them into a good citizen. But again, you have to make a lot of assumptions here. You have to make a lot of assumptions about the future, things that you can't see, so... Wow, this is crazy. This is actually mind-bending. What? Level 24, Eternity. Oh no, due to a construction error, the trolley is stuck in an eternal loop. If you pull the lever, the trolley will explode. And if you don't, the trolley and its passengers will go in circles for eternity. What do you do? This is actually great. I think this is another concept that people like to debate in philosophy, is the concept of immortality or living for eternity versus the mercy of ending it. I think this is actually one of those scenarios where doing nothing is actually the proper choice. Again, for the same reason that taking action is taking on the responsibility of basically murdering everybody on the trolley. Whereas doing nothing, even if it's a lifetime of suffering, technically they are experiencing their lifetimes. So there's like some moral implications there for the responsibility that you have. Like, is it actually merciful to end somebody's suffering? Are they actually suffering? That's an assumption that you have to make. For all you know, they actually like living in eternity, going in an endless loop. There's a lot of assumptions. It's the same thing every time. You have to make a lot of assumptions. I'm gonna do nothing. 55%? Really? 45% of people would just blow up the trolley? What? That's blowing my mind right now. What? 45% of people would just blow up the trolley. I think that's crazy. I think they're crazy. I think that 45% of people are crazy. There's crazy people who would just willingly explode a trolley full of people. Am I missing something? Am I actually missing something? Because, like, there's nothing in this trolley problem that says that the eternal loop is suffering. There's nothing bad about being in an eternal loop. It just says the trolley is stuck, but it doesn't necessarily mean that that's a bad thing. The passengers will just go in circles for eternity. 45% of people willingly pull the lever to explode the trolley. That blows my mind. A trolley is heading towards your worst enemy. You can pull the lever to divert the trolley and save them, or you can do nothing and no one will ever know. What do you do? I think this trolley problem, they probably should have put it the other way around, where the action of choice would be to kill off your worst enemy and nobody would ever know. And doing nothing would just be doing nothing. Or maybe that would make it a little bit too easy. Yeah, I think this is very interesting. What are people going to choose to do? Does it come down to just saving a life, even if it's your worst enemy? We saw in previous problems that, like, people really tend to value their own lives. So this means having to live with your worst enemy. And I guess depending on the person, they might not understand how bad it is to live with your worst enemy. Like, some enemies are actually really terrible for your life, and you have to, like, look over your shoulder every single day. Yeah, so depending on how much you value your own life. I mean, luckily for me, I'm just gonna continue with doing nothing. Splat. This is a lot closer to 50-50 than I thought it would be. 57% of people would save their worst enemy. And I think that's actually a good thing. I think I'm kind of surprised it's not a little bit higher than that, but I think it's a good thing that people value life. And, like, again, you have to make assumptions here. Like, for all you know, that saving your worst enemy would change them, and they wouldn't be your enemy anymore. Maybe they'd be your friend. Who knows? A trolley is heading towards a person and will lower their lifespan by 50 years. You can pull the lever to divert it to the trolley and lower the lifespan of 5 people by 10 years instead. What do you do? It's the same thing. You have to make a lot of assumptions about these people's lives. If it's just down to a numbers game, then the number of years that they're going to live is equal. So it really just comes down to the quality of life. It's like saying that you're going to take the 50 years that this single person's going to spend, and you split it into 5 different people for 10 years. are those 10 years for 5 people going to be the same quality as a single person for 50 years? And I think if you consider something like wisdom, how people can learn over time, then 5 people trying their hardest to learn as much as they can in 10 years aren't going to be the same as any one of those people having an extra 40 years to learn based on their past experiences. So there's actually something different. It's not just a numbers game here. And again, you have to make a lot of assumptions about the morality of each person on these tracks. Because, like, an evil person could spend 50 years doing very evil things. But I'm just gonna do nothing. Splat. Wait, what? Oh, he didn't he didn't splat because it just lowered their lifespan. Duh. I was waiting for the splat. 65% of people disagree. Yeah, that's what I would expect. I would expect more people to lower the lifespan of 5 people by 10 years. Yeah, that actually makes a lot of sense. A trolley is heading towards 5 people. You can pull the lever to divert it to the other track, sending the trolley into the future to kill 5 people 100 years from now. What do? First of all, you gotta see that the problem poses that the 5 people in the future are definitely going to die. There's no such thing as, like, future medicine or, realizing that the trolley is going to be coming at exactly this time or something like that. The 5 people in the future are definitely going to be killed. But if this was a numbers game, then you can consider something like earlier generations are technically more valuable humans because their future generations lead to more people. There's a greater population in the future. So if you kill 5 people in the past, that could technically mean like 500 people in the future don't exist anymore. Whereas if you kill 5 people in the future, I mean, it's all relatively speaking anyway, right? Because, like, the future is also going to have another future in front of it. There's so many assumptions that you gotta make. I'm just gonna do nothing. Like I have been. Splat. 65% of people would send it into the future. I wonder why that is. Like, is it just because of what I said about, future generations? Or is there something else that I'm not considering here? 65% of people. A trolley problem is playing out before you. Do you actually have a choice in this situation, or has everything been predetermined since the universe began? Ha 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 ha. See, this is what I was saying. You could approach each and every single one of these trolley problems like as if you don't have any responsibility to begin with. So do you have a choice? Do you actually have free will? Or do you not have a choice? This is also not specific as to what's happening here. Like, I don't have a choice, I must pull the lever? I'm pretty sure it means the other way around. Like, you don't... Yeah. I can see the group of 5 people changing size when I do this. And this is... I have a choice. I can kill 1 person to save 5 people. Well, I've been doing nothing the entire time, just for the sake of it. But yeah, I guess these trolley problems presented in such a way that, if you do nothing, it's like as if you think that the universe has just been predetermined. And so any situation you walk up to, that's the situation. That's the situation that it is. It is what it is. I do not have a choice. I must do nothing, and I must stick to it. 62% of people disagree. They think they have free will, and they have a choice. Again, getting real philosophical here, but I think that, I think this trolley problem in particular, level 28 free will, I think this is, yet again, these are presented for a neurotypical person. Like, if this was somebody that was specifically going for the highest kill count, that's a different trolley problem. All of a sudden, the question that's being asked is very different. So it all depends on who's on the switch. So really, same as before, you have to make a lot of assumptions, but you also have to make assumptions about yourself on the switch, right? Like, it really just depends on what your values are as a person. Congratulations, you have solved philosophy. Kill count 93. So I think the trolley problem is actually very, very interesting, and there's a lot of things that you can do with it to create other absurd trolley problems. A lot of things that you can consider, and I think discussing it is actually very, very interesting. You could definitely do this over again, specifically to try to get an even higher kill count, or to try to get the lowest kill count possible. But again, that's doing all of these trolley problems in the context that you understand you're going to be doing more trolley problems, and this is all with the goal in mind of a low or high kill count, which is technically just a numbers game. Does it actually matter? Do we have free will? Does the quality of a person's character matter? Does your responsibility of choice matter? I think this is all very fascinating, and I'll leave a link in the description for you guys to try out these absurd trolley problems yourself. What do you think of these absurd trolley problems, and would you have done something a little bit differently? That's all that we're going to be checking out for today. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.